Wagwan, how you there? What's good? It's your boy G Ransom. You're tuning into Jerk Jollof and Collard Greens podcast, and I'm joined by none other than my brothers in bond, Chunky, D Black, and Francis. I think this is the first time we've all been together in quite some time. It's been a couple months, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a bit. Always been busy slapping people around.
The boys
Slapping
are back in
people around,
town.
trying to avoid
Remember my
violence,
my love language is physical touch.
physical
So
touch.
Is that even a love language? Physical
yeah, it's words of affirmation. It's acts of service, physical touch.
Gift giving.
Yep, that's four. What's the fifth one?
Uh,
Uh, yeah, I don't remember.
You do
I,
you even know?
money.
It's
Oh,
a
we got the
I
money.
mean,
boy.
yeah,
We
I'm a,
got the
I'm an act
boy.
of service
plug,
actually. That's my number
plug.
one,
Did
Chunky.
you take the test?
I did. Yeah, a couple
You
like
don't know the fifth one. You are no help to me right now.
it
As,
was a
as
while
he's
back.
telling you,
Quality
as he's telling
time and
you.
physical touch.
Quality
There you
time,
go.
yes.
Physical touch. There
There
we
we
go.
go.
Well
Shout outs to
done.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chapman, saving
Yeah.
relationships
Thanks, Francis. Did absolutely
wherever.
nothing for me on that
Plug, plug,
one.
plug, plug, plug.
Sorry,
Left me by
I didn't
myself.
realize I was just
Pick this
three
book
other
up.
people, two other
You
people
were
on the
my
call.
phone a friend, and you failed me. If this is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, we would be broke.
Well,
Well, now you know. Don't call me.
that makes sense because on today's episode, along with our reactions, we're going to talk about four things women just may never understand about men. And I came up with the list quite a bit and we reviewed it as a team. So, there's going to be some funny stuff on there, but there's going to be some actual sentimental, realistic, personable things on there as well. Soft White Underbelly channel, one of the channels I personally follow, had a divorce lawyer come on to talk about love and marriage and the problem with it today in America. And I thought this clip was actually pretty insightful to share. So the divorce lawyer is actually going to get into the problem that he believes is behind the Western idea or culture of marriage.
I think I'm a romantic at heart in the sense that I really get it. Like, I really get why we do this. I felt it, I know it, I understand it. But tying that to the technology of marriage to me makes almost no sense whatsoever. And I actually think it's almost antagonistic to that connection with another person because there's so much expectation that comes with marriage culturally. We've created so much stuff around it. Like when you marry someone, they're supposed to be, at least in the modern Western model, your best friend, best roommate, best co-parent, best travel partner, best roommate, best everything, best activity partner. Like how would one person be all of those things? That's insane. Like if I was interviewing for a job and said, I want you to be the best typist, and I also want you to be best on the phone, and I also want you to be great at that. And I ran down a list of dissimilar things. Like, or if I went to an amazing chef and I said, I know you're a great chef, but can you farm? Like, well, that has to do with food, but they're not the same thing. Like, what are you talking? So I think
What do you guys think? Did the divorce lawyer hit it on the head or nah?
I mean, ultimately, we do try to have this picture perfect representation of what we think our relations, our significant others are supposed to be, which is not necessarily realistic. So, I mean, I definitely get what he's trying to say. Um, I mean, being the best cook and the best farmer is kind of crazy from the fact that there are probably some farmers that can really throw down, but but I do get their reference. And when they're talking about things that are unrelated with each other, we all have things that we're really strong in, and we have things that we're not necessarily the best in. But I think ultimately being able to be two partners that can find a cohesion and find symmetry within those differences is what ultimately makes it work.
No, I hear you. And I think like even me coming from a single person's mindset is just like, okay, like watching this clip, shout out to Soft White Underbelly as well. It really made me like challenge some of these like ideas and notions behind like partnering up and looking for someone ideally. And it's just like, for instance, I know like a lot of people when they get into relationships, they tend to forego some friendships because they're just like, it's all about me and my partner now. I don't have time to focus on these, or especially when it comes to like members of the opposite sex, it's just kind of like, I got to create these boundaries now that I can't cross because I'm with someone. And I feel like the idea that he's trying to represent is not that you can't find one person to cover what you need, but it's just also understanding that, okay, maintaining healthy relationships overall, having a good social circle overall, kind of embracing life as it is and the interactions that come across as well, like it's an important part for the sake of your marriage, because now you're putting all this kind of undue pressure and stress on one person to hopefully tick all these boxes. And half of the day, some of us are come back from a day from work, we're not trying to play doctor or remedy maker, or not always going to be the best listener. Like we're all going through our personal issues as well, that we can hopefully communicate with our partners too. So it's just like us understanding that, and kind of like, I guess, deviating from that whole soulmate point of view or that soulmate model. And it's just like, oh, getting text. That soulmate model. So yeah, that's my thought on it overall.
Yeah. Yeah, I do appreciate some of the stuff that he said. I mean, one thing that he kind of pointed at in his whole messaging that I thought that I kind of resonated with was, he said he kind of talked about like when his parents were coming up in their relationship, the focus back then was just happy to be just growing a family and growing old together. Like there was not a lot of pressure to like portray this perfect relationship. There's not the expectation to be with your soulmate because of all this. You have to meet all the standards, like you said, be the best at this and that. And that kind of put a pressure on your relationship. And whenever someone doesn't like meet up to that standard, then you feel like you're not with your soulmate. Then you end up maybe feel like, okay, this is not the right person. Then you get a divorce or break up or whatnot. But like in the older traditional marriage or relationship, there was less pressure on that. And I just appreciate some of the things that I kind of portray that in this message. And I think and he kind of also talked about like everything kind of goes in a rotation in a little bit, and he sees us as a nation potentially getting back to the traditional ways, but which I'm not really sure if I believe that because of technology and the way our society kind of is set up now. But overall, that is kind of like one of the things that he said that I was like, you know what, I do agree with that. That is part of the pressure that we are kind of dealing with as a nation, or as a as a people, and what impacts our relationship today.
Great point.
I mean, of course, I'm going to be on opposite end of the spectrum. I don't agree with any of this shit, right? So you're allowed to have a preference. Let's be fucking honest, right? We're not in the fucking past anymore, so don't fucking focus on that. Where we are today is where we're going to be in the future, and it's going to constantly evolve. In the past, we didn't have social media. And even then, when you had your wedding, it was to show people how much you love each other, whether or not you really loved each other, right? The wedding is not really for you and your spouse, it's to show off, right? That's why we spend so much money.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that frustrates me is that we're believing what's being said. It's just like, you're allowed to say, like, hey, I know for sure I want someone I can game with, right? That's going to be my spouse. I want someone I can at least cook. That's going to be my spouse.
Mm-hmm.
This best shit is just something that we fall into, right? Because even before social media, we had magazines, and we saw the people that were married living an amazing life, having all these things, a white picket fence, and even we sold the American dream like that, right? So this isn't something new. This is something that's easier widespread. And the pressure, let's talk about the pressure, right? So if I'm dating someone, if I'm deciding to get married to someone and I'm not meeting the expectations, am I strong enough to break away from it? Or am I going to sit here and commit to a situation that I know I'm no good, that I know at some point it's going to fail, or I'm not willing to work on it when it gets bad? So let's be fucking realistic with each other. So the shit that we hear on social media, the shit that other people are saying, that's great. But do you even know yourself well enough to know what pieces you need to complement yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Your partner does make you better, but first of all, you have to be the best version of yourself and continue to grow. If you decide to be stagnant, shit's going to fall apart. So I don't want to hear this stuff like, oh, well, my parents got married, it was like this. Sometimes people got married just to have more money in the household to take care of each other.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Most of us on here are parents or have done parenting. And that shit going to change when they get married or they date someone. So you're going to tell them, oh, you should be like me? Against the world that's going to be different. Or are you going to encourage them to adapt to the world that they're in and learn how to make the best selection? People aren't willing to wait. We're impatient. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take what we get and try to fucking work with it when we know it's not compatible. That's our fault, right? You can't blame society for your fuck up. That's on you. So start making the best decisions in the sense that, yes, there is such thing as a soulmate. I truly believe it. But if you're trying to force someone into a puzzle piece that they're not going to fit in, that shit's on you. Nobody else.
Yeah. I appreciate that, Chunky, and I totally agree with you as well. I think I think what the guy was kind of talking about that I just relate to, but like one interesting stat that he actually talked about was even though you get a divorce with someone, within those, so divorce is like maybe 54%.
Like
okay. And he said
get remarried. Yeah.
He said 80 out of that 56 within 5 years, 84% of those that 56 get remarried. So it's not like, so people are always searching for the next thing, right? So we are constantly just looking for someone to be compatible with, to like, fit into this like, our preferences, right? That we all have the right to, right? So, but yeah, no, I think everything you said is valid, Chunks. Like, honestly, but and as adults and people are just kind of learning to navigate, we are constantly learning from my experience. So our past failed relationship in the past helped us become a better person for our next relationship, right? So we are constantly learning. So yeah.
Hey, there she blows.
Agreed.
Some great insights there. I would say definitely check out Soft White Underbelly if you haven't gotten the chance to watch the full clip. A lot of good insight there. Essentially, with all things, the decision all comes down to you. The best we can do is best arm ourselves and hopefully keep a great circle when it comes to it. All right, so let's get into this topic discussion. 4 things women may never understand about men. And let's get into this first one. And that is, men are hammers and every problem is a nail. So as far as we know from experience and some from, I just think from experience, men tend to look at every issue or every problem as a nail meeting a hammer. In other words, if you have a problem, if you have an issue, it's meant to be solved, not vented about. So in that regard, men are often dubbed poor listeners. And I think that's probably one of the chief complaints that we get. So I just wanted to ask you guys, like, how are you when it comes to listening to not even just your partners, but just anyone that for instance, like I think we all got that one friend that always has a problem, right? And it's just like every day it's the same problem over and over and over again. So like, how would you rate yourself as far as when it comes to listening and giving feedback, or even being a person that's a great, I guess, sponge to be vented towards? Like, are you on the spectrum of, well, if you got a problem, you should try to fix it, or, let's talk about it and let's talk about it some more. Oh, let's talk about it again. What's your take on it?
Yeah, so I'm primarily a resolution fix it kind of guy. Felix Fix It, for anybody who knows that reference. You watched it. Chucky might have got it.
Fix It, Felix.
And the blank stares. Look at that.
I said it backwards. See?
and the blank stares that ensued.
That was a test.
It's like, wait, what?
That was a test. But yeah, so I'm very much a fix it kind of guy. I've always been that way. But I've definitely been working on that aspect of myself. I feel like you got to listen to more. And sometimes I think it's just, it is kind of hard for me to wrap my head around about when I'm presented with the issue, but the person does not want a resolution for it. I'm like, what you mean? You just do this and it's done. And they're like, nah, I'm just talking about it a little bit more. Not that simple. And we're gonna talk about it again. It's a little tough, but I think I understand that the therapeutic effect of just venting, but So again, primarily a fix-it person, but I've definitely learned to allow people to vent a little bit more. But that don't mean I ain't gonna slide a little bit of recommendation here at the end when I feel like the vent session is complete.
Yeah, and I struggle with this. This is a pain point for me because I'm kind of like my cousin as well. When it's interesting though because as being the oldest son, I kind of like get it from like just even within my family, then like externally as well. Then but usually whenever people tell me stuff, I'm always thinking, okay, I'm going to give my 1 cent or 2 cent to the issue, and it's my recommendation. This is my thought. But yeah, but as far as like just validating for women, for us married men or in relationship, when our wives vent to us, sometimes they just want some validation, and that is something that I'm working on because for me, whenever I'm like, man, why can't you just do this? Why can't you do that? Like, and it's always frustrating for me when I listen to it because I'm like, this such is not a problem if you just handle it this way. But in reality, that's not what they want to hear. And that's just funny because I was actually just making fun of my wife and her friend just like a couple of days ago. I was just telling because they over there like get on the phone and they just talk about everything, just share everything with her. It's like, why do y'all just do this all day? Like, then I challenge. I was like, do you guys like, do you validate all this venting or do you give her like, actually I disagree with that. You didn't do the right thing. Like it could be like something her coworker does. Like, oh my gosh, she's been a little B or whatever. Like she's not like. I'm like, did
Yes,
you? Then
queen.
yeah, like she's not listening. She's not a good boss or whatever. Like or what all this stuff. And I'm like, actually, do you? Yep.
Yes, queen.
Yep, Glenn. Yep. And I'm like, then I got on a call with them. It became a three-way conversation. I was on the phone with her, like, actually, what do you tell her? Like, do you tell her, like, actually, you did something wrong, and she did correct me. So she was like, actually, I do, but she was like, but as a woman, sometimes what we need is just validation. They just want somebody to listen to them and validate their feelings. And that is something as a man that I'm struggling with, that I'm working on. And I'm not saying like the way we operate is a bad way because somebody got to solve the problem. So, it's just
Or
no
not. Or
problem.
not.
So we just got to know when to present the solution. So we got to know when to shut up and listen and when to share the information that we have. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely struggle with this because I'm very opinionated, and I mean, I
Oh,
think a
are you?
part of it you already know, bro. This is Jamaican, and we gotta have an opinion on something, and we stick to it, right or wrong, we sticking to it. But it's just like that juggling act for sure, because it's just like I think in most cases we want to kind of, as a man, you kind of want to be the person that helps your person. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to see you struggle. I want to hear about you in pain. I don't want to hear about you in despair. It's like if I feel that or I sense that, I feel like I'm failing. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
understand that every problem you're going to be able to solve, but it's just like, okay, let's work towards progression. You know what I mean? This is a hurdle. Like typically I look at, basically problems as hurdles that build you up. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, all right, we don't want to be stuck on the first hurdle running back to the start line and trying to get over that hurdle and running back to the start line every time. But yeah, it's like coming to the realization that, and it's even with men, sometimes we just want to be heard out. It's not even so much that we want to hear what we got to do. You know what I mean? Especially with some men that are like consider themselves alphas. They ain't trying to hear what somebody else is trying to tell them what to do. It's kind of just like, yo, this is what I'm dealing with. I need somebody to hear me. And it's just like, I know like previous relationships, it was like kind of working on it to make it seem genuine. Like I think they're looking for that connection, right? Like, oh my God, she did that to you. Are you for real? Damn. Well,
See, that's fake though. That's fake. I
but it's
know.
like,
Why?
I mean, it could be a
Wow,
genuine
they did
reaction, but you
what?
gotta do it. It's
Oh,
like
she said what? No, she
Like
didn't.
what?
I mean,
damn,
it's not,
what?
but like it falls in the realm of validation, right? So, like,
Yeah.
I would say I'm a sledgehammer to most situations. And, like, as a dude, I'm just like, there's too much in the world to worry about. Something can be simply fixed. Let's fix it. If you want me to listen, I'll sit there and listen, but it's hard to hear the same problem over and over and over again. It's like you don't want to fix it. You just want to live in this world of just a problem. That's just not me. Like I don't like this other shit I want to worry about, right? I don't want to worry about like, oh well, I don't have any peanut butter in the cupboard. Okay, well, what are you gonna do about it? I don't know. It just sucks I don't have it. And the next day comes. I don't have. Go get some fucking peanut butter.
Chucky throw a Thor's hammer at that motherfucker.
I will go get it.
Get a sledgehammer.
Go get that peanut butter, bro.
It's like why? But there's other times where it's just like some people just want you to feel what they're feeling, right? So I have that empathy. But listen, my emotions need to go somewhere else, and this ain't it. It's not to be mean or rude, but it's just like, yeah, bro, that's crazy. Okay, you're validated. And then sometimes some people are just fucking wrong, right? Like what you did is just wrong. Well, you're not going to validate it? No. Because
I have a question then. Like,
that's when you keep it real with each other.
But how do you guys navigate that though? Like when it comes to when your partner is wrong, like how do you tell them, yo, you're wrong? Like babe, I hear you, but you can't do that sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta be like, oh damn, that's crazy.
Fuck that. Right. So what you're building, right, is that expectation that someone can come to you and tell you something that they know is wrong, and you're the person that's agreeing to enabling it, right? Not to say straight up, you're fucking wrong, you're out of your fucking mind. But it's like, okay, cool. Like I hear what you're saying. I see where you're coming from, but realistically, you're the one that made the mistake, right? I'm not saying you're always wrong, but what you're doing isn't correct. Even though you feel as though it should be different, that's great. You're entitled to your feelings, but you're wrong. It's as simply so once you start agreeing with the misbehavior, because then they'll start misbehaving with you. And they're just like, oh, you're supposed to agree with me, right?
You're the one that's supposed to thing, though. I would say instead of saying that the person made a mistake, I would say, what if we try this approach? You listen to what the person has to say. And instead of saying, hey, you're the pinpoint person here, you're the person at fault. Because essentially, regardless, your partner wants to feel like if something were to go down, you would stand with them, right? Like I'm just saying, let's be real. If something were to go down, regardless, you're gonna stand with them. If she gets into an altercation in traffic, if she road rage first, she's not expecting you to be with the other person and be like, you fucked up. She's expecting you to be there and support her regardless.
Some people are expecting
coming from the man.
I would say
that's just like
primarily.
No, I want to hear this shit.
Yeah, get him, Chunk.
Let me finish, and then we can get to the jokes. I would say, like, primarily, instead of pinpointing who's at fault, even if you know your partner is the one that's at fault, question it as, hey, in this situation, what did you do? And do you think if you did something differently, how would the outcome have been, as opposed to where it is right now? As opposed to saying, yo, babe, you fucked up. That can come after the fact. You know what I mean? But it's like for now, when you initially hear it, I would say legit. Try that approach instead, because realistically, no one wants to hear that they fucked up from their person. You're not saying you can't say that, but just the way that you go about it may not be like, hey, you fucked up.
Yeah, but that's the same thing. But like, I'm not sorry to cut.
In that fucking moment, do you really think someone's going to listen to you and not take it as being patronized? Hey, so what did you do wrong? What could you have done better? They ain't trying to hear none of that shit. They're in the heat of the fucking moment, and you got two options. Either cool them the fuck down or hype them the fuck up. And knowing your partner, you should know how to cool them down. So even if it's playing a fucking Barney song, they're just like, woosah, they're done, then you talk to them. But in that moment, I'll tell you hands the fuck down, right? If I'm about to go off on someone, and any one of y'all tell me, it's like, well, Chunky, do you think this is the best? I will fucking lose my shit. Right?
Chucky might throw me into the fight, bro.
It's just being realistic and knowing how to communicate. Glenn, I understand what you're saying, but that shit it's not realistic. It's just not. This is like, you have to know your person. That doesn't work for everybody. Yeah, like you can ask T-Black. Like I've been in so many situations where like I've been in altercations where like someone got fired. I'm like, yeah, fuck that. And then Calte's like, yo, bro, like, nah. This ain't going to play out well at all. We can do it, and we're going to suffer some harsh consequences. But if you take a step back and just analyze it, everyone's entitled to their emotions and feelings. I'll say that shit straight the fuck up. But that doesn't make the response to the situation correct. in the heat of the moment, I don't know how many of you have ever seen red in an argument, like just straight up was blinded by just straight anger. There's nothing that can really bring you down besides someone that knows you, and someone will say a key word to you, and you're like, oh shit, like you right. You still gonna be fuming, but like to ask me if it's the best decision in that moment, fuck yes, it's the best decision. I'm gonna throw this fucking table out the window. That's what I'm set on.
And I'll catch the table before it hits me.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's just managing. Like, oh, if you need something to punch, here's a pillow. You need something to do, like, come hug me, like squeeze the life out of me, right? Let's exert that energy in a positive way. Just this redirect focus. I'm not going to try to sit here and tell you should rethink your decision because you're already committed to it. There's a better way of handling it.
I mean, I gather the key thing being mentioned here is essentially, I'll get to that. It's basically knowing your partner, as you mentioned. So it's like essentially there's no one fit approach, which I also agree with as well, assuming that every situation is one of those immediate to 10 situations where realistically it may not always be that. So it's just like when it comes to knowing your partner, like you said, there could be a vast array of different approaches. So it's just like what kind of standard do you then set for like any situation in that matter? Because let's be real, we don't know how some people are going to react until some shit goes down. So you're not learning your partner until it's like right then and there. Like I could think about plenty of times where I had in my mind, if this happens, this is how I'm going to react, until it actually happened. And then it was like, well, fuck, what the fuck is going on? So it's just like, I'm not saying that, okay, you always have to be over analytical, but when it comes to that moment where you're then really trying to rehash the situation, I'm just saying, instead of pinning blame on your partner, and that also goes with choosing to ride with them or not, essentially you're not just defaulting to pinning blame on them, trying to figure out what the fuck is going to happen, but at first, of course, protecting you and yours.
Yeah, so, I mean, if this is a 0 to 100 situation that you're talking about, the best way to diffuse it sometimes is like, sit the fuck down. You're wrong, sit the fuck down. That's it.
Agree.
Like you said, other times it's just like, let's have the conversation, but you can't have a conversation with someone that's already in a certain emotion, because everything that they're taking in, it's a negative, right? Because they're already spewing out like, this is how I feel, this is how I'm gonna go with, right? And back to your point of like ride or die, the plans I have in my head are the plans I carry out. People say, oh, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. I've been punched in the face and carried out the same fucking plan, right? You can test who I am. Like, okay, that situation comes up. People can talk about what they're going to be, like you're saying, until shit happens. And then the other surprising thing is just like, oh shit, you're about that life. I thought you were just kidding. It's like, no.
That's true.
I forgot who, like, was it? So we had a friend back in the day, Joey. He was like, a man got two things, his word and his balls, right? So it's just like, if I'm about this shit, I'm going to continually be about this. And that's not just coming down to violence. As a man, I'm going to take care of my business. If I'm saying I'm going to do something, then I'm going to do it. I'm not going to lead you to a falsehood of just like, yeah, I'm going to act tough and be a gangster. Like, nah, I ain't a thug, I ain't a gangster, but I will crack some sternums if I got to, right? I will pay the bills when they need to be covered. I will be a soft, sensitive man when that time comes. But it's all about knowing your partner and knowing your audience.
I mean, so one thing I do want to say that I agree with Glenn on is, regardless of what's going on, I think your spouse, I know my wife, regardless of what happens, she wants me to pick her all the time, always, regardless of what the situation is. But when we do talk about it later, right, that's when we like, okay, what did you do to actually trigger this issue? And sometimes I know, like, as women, they don't want to, like, maybe, rehash some of those. But in reality, though, like, when the shit hit the fan, you do always have to pick your significant or your partner every time, regardless if they were right or wrong. Because especially like, but to Glenn's point, though, I do agree. That's how I've tried to handle it sometimes. But sometimes that's not still what they want to hear, So
by protecting them, that's not still picking them. Like, you're going to make an irrational decision, right? Like, I understand where you're coming from, but you can't do this.
I'm just saying that's why I think women, what they want us to do.
Right? But it's that opposition.
That's what we would want as well if it came down to it. Also,
no. It's that opposition, or is that actually looking out for someone? Is that actually having someone's best interest at heart?
We will get to the best interest after this situation, like after this commercial break.
Exactly.
Hear what I'm saying. It's just that if you saying like, "Hey, you're wrong. You need to stop," is that opposing them?
I mean, so like, if she come to you like, yo, this guy just called me the B word, and maybe she did call them the B word and call him all kind of crazy word, and he called her the B word. Are you gonna ask her like, what did you say to him, or you just go up there and just like, yo, what you say
What
to
am
my
I gonna
girl?
do? Like
And I'm gonna just, you know what I'm
if she
saying?
initiated shit, like, oh, I've been like slapping this motherfucker around, saying shit to him. He told me leave him alone. He finally called me a bitch. I'm just like, yo, you fucked up.
But
Like,
that's
I
when
don't
I
agree.
feel like women should know their men too, right? Be like, yo, listen, my dude ain't no fighter, right? So, babe, he's gonna take this L. We gonna keep moving.
What?
Like, my dude ain't about to scrap. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I
but
feel
that's
like
true. Not
it
every dude
works
about to
both
scrap.
ways,
Yeah.
real talk. And like, I think it works both ways, but I feel like in most cases, I agree. You got to just ride with your partner and then figure out the shit later on.
I
I
100%
mean,
disagree.
that's
But
why.
like the thing that we're talking about riding, it's like my still question still stands. Is just like, just because you look out for your partner's best interest, are you technically opposing them?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't know. No, I think it depends on the what it is.
Because that's subjective. Like, it could
Yeah.
also be riding with you, even though you're wrong, could be looking out for your best interest.
That's how is that like, if I know I'm about to do something that'll put me in jail for 10 years and my partner rides out for me, is that looking out for my best interest?
No,
Nah, it isn't.
it's
So my
not.
Absolutely
partner
not.
telling
Unless
me
you like jail.
I mean, if
you're
that's the
wrong,
case, you
you
should
need
not
to
be with that
stop.
person.
That's not opposing me. That's actually looking out for me. Whether I agree with it in a moment or not, my partner is truly looking out for me in that situation. My partner is not against me. In that moment, they made the best decision.
Yep. We figure it out as it goes. But all right. I think we covered that one really, really, really well. Got a lot of good insight. So let's hop to the next one so we could cover everything. But I'm glad these are hitting though. I was a little nervous. All right. So let's just lighten it up a little bit. Whenever, wherever, however, she can get it. Men are perceived as mainly sexually motivated, driven, and innate performers. However, as you know, as we all age, we undergo some biological hormonal changes. As a matter of fact, sometimes we just ain't in the mood. And if you have a poor diet, don't exercise, or just completely always stress the fuck out, that can impact your confidence levels and libido, and essentially your ability to perform in the bedroom. And let's not even talk about anxiety when it comes to performing. Who wants to be known as a Minuteman, right? So I have a question for y'all. How are you guys as we age, as we're in our ripe ages at that, kind of essentially venturing into our prime and out of it in a flash? What are your thoughts overall? Like, I guess compared to when you're younger till now, I mean, everyone's pretty much booed up for the most part. So it's just like, have you ever had anxiety when it comes to performing as a dude? And, what does that feel like? And how do you grip with the possible reality that the blue pill might be in your future? If that is the case, of God willing, it isn't. But let's be real. I don't know what the stat is on for men, but if that were the case, if you had to take it, what's your thoughts on that? But I guess primarily, have you ever experienced anxiety when it came to performing or just making sure you did your thing as a dude?
I can start. I mean, I don't know. I assume the first time is always gonna have some jitters. I don't know if
And the
everybody's
second
first
time,
time had
and the third
some.
time, and
The first time you have no nerves, y'all ain't have no nervousness to the first time. Yeah, that's all. I
hell yeah, I had
bet.
nerves. I was nervous as
Whatever. I
fuck.
think the first time it was definitely like, oh, I'm about to do this a little bit. It's a little exciting, nerves, all the same, all the above that the emotions that come with it. I think with experience comes confidence, and you start rocking and rolling. Um, I think one thing that I'll just say is I thought that I'll be thinking about it every single moment of every single day for the rest of my life. But I guess I learned that after a while you realize you got actual responsibilities and things that you need to be accountable for. Or at least I can speak for myself that I have to be accountable for. But that doesn't mean I still think about sex, but I don't necessarily it doesn't overrule everything I gotta do of every single moment. So I understand priorities and depending on the moment, if there's no access as well, it's not as much a priority as well. So
I
yeah.
have a question for you then. If you think
Mhm.
about, if you were to put the 5 things that you think about in any given day into a list, is sex any one of those 5 things?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's always. I'm not saying again, like I said, it's not like you don't think about it. Uh, you don't think about it like within the course of a day. Yeah, you're gonna think about it, but I'm not gonna say that. Oh, I gotta make sure I pay my bills. I gotta take care of my family, but I gotta get this nut out first. Mama, you can wait. You can wait until rent. You can wait, bro. Like, no, bro. I need somewhere to live to get this nut out, so I'm gonna pay my bills. That's just me, bro.
Oh gosh.
Man, I don't know. I mean, when I was single, it's fine. I make this joke, man, and God forgive me, but I always say hooking up with someone is like going to church. Your pastor, your pastor always. Oh my God, I gotta say this straight face. Your pastor always tells you should come. Make sure you don't judge a church by your first visit. You come your first, second, and third time before you really know how good the church is, and that's why I call intimacy, man.
Amen.
Your performance, your first interaction might not be very good, and she might need to come back second time.
Like, I'm ready this time. Our first time was a fluke. This time I'm ready.
To really know your level of performance. So, like, that is my, God forgive me, but that's my correlation.
Yo, I don't think he forgive you enough for that.
It's like, but sometimes you just don't show up the first time, man.
What?
It was an off day. It was an
off day, bro.
I was stressed out.
You just don't do it.
Didn't go to the
I mean,
gym.
you don't plan to not perform well. You go into it thinking you're about to kill shit, and you don't. Like, shit happens.
So everyone had the plan until they dropped their pants, right?
Man, stop it, bro. All I'm saying is, okay, so you never like going like I'm about to kill this shit, and you don't last very long.
30 seconds in, done.
Come on, bro. Are you saying you never had that issue, Chunky?
Like,
are you Superman over here? Never. Never.
Exactly.
So,
all right. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real.
Oh shit!
Right? And he's heard stories and events. Like if I'm about to go be reckless, I'm fully committed to being reckless. There's no second thought, right? It's like, I don't know. You just like, nah. It's just like even in the college days, it's like you get what you get, right? I got mine. Oh, that sucks for you. Right, I believe in test driving a car, right? You feel me?
Just once,
like, oh, you got it. That's it. If this ain't for you, it ain't for you.
Yeah, period. No, I mean, it is what it is.
Like, there's no like, oh, sometimes. I know my performance vehicle, right? I know what my capabilities. So it's just like tires are good, engine's good. And even if you get in and you didn't shift the gear right, that shit's on you.
Oh, you see, being a man is like shifting accountability. Look at you.
It's not shifting accountability.
It's like the old stereotype of a man.
Let me finish. Let me finish before you start swinging.
Like, hey, my shit walk your shit loose.
And even in a committed relationship, that's where the concern comes in, right? Because now the worry is just like, all right, well, I have responsibilities. Hey, I just hit the gym. I didn't get enough sleep. Now you want to do it? That's when I get nervous. It's like, yeah, I'm always given grade A USDA beef, right? All the time. Grade A meat. All the time.
Dollar store.
Today, that's just going to be a D at best.
That's dollar store meat, bro.
At best.
Dollar store
I'm going into it like, yo, like
dollar store wagon.
And I guess your everyone classification of good performance is also different, right? Because like the standard that you have for yourself as a good performance might be different from what she expect as a great performance as well. So sometimes like you don't like on the same page with that, right? So
my performance level is always high. I set my own performance level, right? And it's always
okay. I like the confidence, like always, Chunks.
You gotta understand. You don't hear this man. This man says like, I go in with this, but the outcome is the outcome. But at the end of the day,
regardless,
I know
it's not about you.
Well, you say it's not my fault. It's your fault.
It may not be about you. So
you didn't shift the gear right enough.
No, I just told you I'll take blame for mine. It's just like if I know it's about to go down and it isn't a good day, then it's just like, yo, there's been plenty of times I'm like,
it's not
you.
Today.
It just like, oh, well. I got other things on my mind, and you trying to do some stuff. I am not mentally here. Like there's so much ending that I need to take care of before I even think about this.
Is she
That's
coming
not in the
back for
game,
round
coach.
for day 2, the second time, or maybe the third time then, or what?
Might be ready.
Or
I
is
said
that it?
this is a committed relationship. This isn't like someone that I met. Like I said, someone that I met. You're coming to the car dealership, you test drive, you get the fuck out.
What are these analogies?
Bro, we got
Like, I
church
don't-
analogies,
that's-
car
that's-
dealership
I wouldn't do it. I
analogies,
would
dollar store analogy.
test drive the car before you buy it, right?
There's nothing more well-rounded than Dick, man. You cover everything, bro. My goodness.
Oh my
But
god!
this is like you talk about young me, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
Even today, you too. Like, I mean, I feel
today
like
it's different. I got too much shit.
too much
Yo,
to
that's
worry
real,
about.
man.
It's like, to me, performance anxiety is real. Like, I don't
There's
care
no doubt.
it's a
No
real
doubt.
thing. You might meet some chick, she's super bad, and you probably thinking you're gonna kill it and whatever. It's too good, and next you know you fall out 30 seconds flat. It's like you can't predict the shit.
How's
You could be hitting
how's
in the
that
gym.
performance anxiety? That means it was good.
Nah, I mean it's
That
good,
means
but
no.
you thinking like, fuck, like
Come
30
on, bro.
seconds. Like, you know she ain't happy
You
about
ain't
30
got no
seconds.
control.
I mean, it was
Girl,
good.
come on,
And
you
you
know
hoping-
she wants
Wasn't
within
it
30
J.
seconds,
Cole
bro.
that said in his lyrics, he's like, I came faster than 911 in white neighborhoods. Ain't no shame about it.
But that was his first time.
And that's the
I
point
mean,
I was trying to
every
make.
time you're with someone new, it could be your first time. You know what I
Your
mean?
First time jitters. You don't got no first time.
You know what? At least
I'm
okay,
not-
so this is what I'll
But
say.
I think jitters is like you can't get it up. Not like I came early.
I mean, the results of your jitters. I'm saying the emotion is the jitters is the emotion.
I mean, but how many times you sat there like I'm about to get it in, and all of a sudden it's just like, yo, this is like 20 seconds. Oh well, that's just you just add with like it's not like you're in the moment, but your body's just like, yo, this is too good. I'm done.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I was talking about performance. It's like
That's not. I don't think that's a
time.
performance issue. That's like,
It's like,
you thinking in your head you have to be at a certain
I see what you're
point.
trying to say.
Here's what you got to do though. Like, if you
See?
feel like that's because it's gonna happen. Like, I don't care who you are. You could be fucking Lance Armstrong, marathon man. That shit's gonna fucking happen. You know what I mean? All I say is, if you feel like that moment's about to come and you about to nut sooner than you think, you got a fucking phone call. Some emergency came up. You're like, oh shit, fuck, I gotta go.
In the middle hand said, oh
Yeah.
my homie calling me. Hold
Nah,
up.
you already
Hold up.
know. You already know when that
that's
shit
when you
says,
pull out and hold it for a little
Tuesday,
bit.
we have a problem, and that shit is going like, you like,
the
oh
woman's not gonna
shit.
be like, yo,
Like,
for
I
real?
forgot, left the stove on.
My homie's in the jam. I gotta go.
So you
just kill the vibes,
You
bro.
never thought
Come on,
about
man. You
the
can't
other
do that.
way where the woman has pride that she made you come early.
Nah, there's no pride in that.
Bro, that's Chunk, that's exactly my
There's no
point.
pride in that.
Your classification of good, like, just is, I mean, the woman might have completely, she don't want somebody who's gonna kill her shit for 30 minutes. That's maybe who's gonna like go crazy. Maybe that's her expectation, and you think like if I come 30 seconds, that's good. You know, like
That's the
that's
problem
not where
we
we.
face.
But like here's the thing, right? Once again, going back to the test drive analogy. This shit run good, this shit loud, and I like it. So I'm either gonna drive it again or I'm gonna lease it. Right? I can work with this. This falls into what I want. I'll lease it.
That's if she comes back to the lot.
Exactly.
She may not come back to the
She don't
lot.
come back. So what if she don't come back to the lot?
She could be like, I'm gonna switch to a
all right,
Benz.
so is that now a pride thing, right? She don't come back to the lot. So
That's where the anxiety comes
Anxiety
in
comes
for
from.
me, because it's like you want to make sure, because you want to make sure you perform well enough for her to want to come back.
Good
That's why I make the
customer
joke
If she
about
don't,
coming
she
back to
don't.
1, 2, or 3 times to make sure, like,
I just like
It's
it's
really-
like the sermon wasn't that good today. Come back next week.
exactly,
The
make
sermon
sure.
wasn't that good either.
Give
Come
her
back next
a
week.
hot towel.
I'm just saying. That's truly what my
Get
pastor
outta
used to
Get
say,
outta
bro.
here. Get
Every
outta
time,
here.
like, to all the new
I-
visitors, make sure you come at least 3 times.
Nah.
Yo, I think
So-
that'd actually be a real good social media question to the ladies. Like, do you take pride
Yes.
in what you make a dude, splat?
Churn up.
Bust
real quick.
early.
If you make him churn up real quickly, do you take pride in it? How do you perceive that? That'd be a good one.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's get to the next one. And we get to our last 2. Next piece: fathers do not parent, or fathers aren't parents. Men are often perceived to be lackluster parents and simply substitutes or proxies for whenever a mom is not available. Let's debunk this, because let's be real, men make great parents too, right? Can we agree or disagree on that? What's your take? I guess what's your take on the overall perception as men as fathers? Because I think when we were discussing this topic in our last meeting, I was just like, in any cases, especially when you see a man with a young girl or with a a baby child or an adolescent, toddler, girl, youth, it's like I don't know how many words I can give for that. But it's always kind of perceived as, is that his child? You know what I mean? Especially in today's day and age, where I feel like, you know, the premise of human trafficking and whatnot. I've read on Reddit stories of men being questioned whenever they're with their daughters, because it's always perceived as, oh, that may not be her father. That could be some guy trying to pick her up. So I guess we take that, and also the piece as men just solely being providers, not essentially playing a nurturing type role when it comes to parenting. I think that's a lie. I think men make great nurturers. You know what I mean? And we have that capability in us. However, we're often perceived to be just strictly, you know, disciplinarians and providers. And if we're even in the picture for that part, you know, a lot of the times the weight is thrown on mom to raise the child and bring that child up. Men are just providing. So, I mean, what's your take on this kind of point of view?
I think that's cap. Just straight up, I think it's cap. You know, I understand that within a relationship, one person can assume the primary responsibility for a certain action. So one person can be the primary disciplinarian, one person can be the primary nurturer, but that doesn't mean that the other party doesn't have the ability to do the same. I know working within a relationship, you know, you kind of create those dynamics as far as like who primarily own what. Or sometimes you may agree to split down the middle, but it's kind of based on what that on the comfort level within that relationship. And I do think that a lot of that perception that all men do is kind of just like punish our kids and beat them and whatever. I don't know. I think that's a lot of like maybe movie stuff or maybe some stereotypical social media Black lives kind of mindset of what Black men are supposed to be. I can only speak from the Black experiences, or at least the Nigerian experience. That's just not true, you know. So I don't know. I feel like we can be nurturers. We can be a kind of all the above. And actually, I'll take it one step further. I think it's our job to do all the above.
Facts. No, actually, this is something that frustrates me. Actually, it's funny because my wife has told me that some of her friends or people actually like, oh, so does your husband help with the kids with the kid? And I'm like, duh, of course. Like I was like, what? She was like, of course. I was like, it's so frustrating when like even when you hear questions like that, it's like, of course, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? And and I think in a way, it kind of disvalue men's role in their kid's life, and put all the like the praise on the mom, like where like every household is actually different. Where I know for me and my cousin, for example, I know we take a good amount of like care and responsibility for our kids, and we are not like a non-traditional man, like as far as like, you know, clean the house and do all this stuff. So I mean, same thing for Chunky. You know, I just know I'm just talking to my cousin in Pacific. You know, since but we do a lot of things in the household that typically traditionally it has always been a woman's role. But for me and my cousin, for example, I know for sure we carried way more on our shoulders in the household as far as giving bath and all of that stuff, cooking, cleaning, and also we still like paying the bills at the same time. So when I hear women talk about like caregiving, and I know the shit I do at home, I get kind of mad about it because I know what I bring forth to the table. So I would just say like every household is different. Obviously, you know, some relationship the woman does, you know, take full ownership of that, and the dad or the husband or the whatever, his focus is to just make the money, pay the bills, and the mom stays. She's a stay-at-home mom, and she take care of the kids. So that is also a great thing because you define your roles and responsibility in your household. But yes, to answer your question, fathers are great parents as well. We just don't sit there and like, whoa, I can't change your diaper because your mom is not home. Like, get your ass over here. Let me wipe your ass.
Guess,
Real quick.
guess you
You know, let's get in there.
Like, I guess you
mean?
sitting
Like,
with a shitty ass until mom comes home.
Yeah, like, come on, man. Like, we do this for real.
My face up. It's just like, you're talking about traditional in your culture, or just traditional male across the board?
Well,
across the board.
Across the board, and
all right.
More even in my culture too.
I want to like respond to that, right? Yep. So, traditional man across the board takes care of his family, and that's every facet. So it kind of confused me. Where you're just like, oh, I'm not the traditional man. Like the traditional man is like, oh, you know, like you said, like, oh, I got to change my kid's diaper.
Yeah, I'm talking about like doing cleaning dishes and cooking and all this stuff too. Like,
so stereotypical and traditional, yeah, those are two different things, right? So I just want to be clear, because like that confused the fuck out of me, to be honest.
All right.
And the stereotypical man, like with stereotypes, are negatives and they're positives.
Mm-hmm.
So being a father, it's just like, all right, I'm gonna take care of my child. Being a father, not a dude that was able to produce a child, but being an actual father is like, this is my responsibility, right? I share it, but if my wife can't do this, guess who's doing it? And it's not a problem. It isn't like, oh, well, I did this yesterday, you have to do it today. And sometimes it comes down like, hey, I need this 20 or 30 minutes to work on something. Can you do the baths while I work on this? Because this has to get done in order for us to keep our livelihood together. It's not because my job's more important than yours. It's like, I have to do my part, right? I have to be able to do my job, just like, you know, my wife. I have to be able to be a parent and be a spouse. So that's a lot to take in. But as a dad, like, yeah, we are a bit stricter, right? That's why we're built as men. Right. And that's not to take away from any other gender, however people want to phrase that. It's just that there are certain things that women have that men don't have. Women bear children. We don't. There's a different connection that they have. There's different emotions that they have. And that's why it's important just to have a mother and father in that child's life, because it's an actual balance. We're not supposed to do things the same. We're supposed to give that dynamic, which gives evolution and growth. So if someone says like, oh, well, does your husband change diapers? Does your husband do this? It's like, you must have been around some fucked up dudes if they haven't been doing that shit, right? You don't know what a true man is. Like, your expectation, your stereotype of a man is a boy. Understand, your age doesn't claim you as a man. Your experiences, your reactions, and how you manage situations, that defines you. And if they want to question it, fuck them, question it, right? Because no matter how many times we out, it's just like the hardest thing for me is to take my child into the man's bathroom and change her diaper. That shit is just like, I don't know what the fuck to do, right? Because I'm just like, shield your fucking eyes. And it's like, we're running in, we're running out. I'm trying to find a stall. I don't give a fuck someone's in it. I'm kicking the fucking stall down. We're getting in and you need to get the fuck out. But I'll figure it out, right? There's not a point where I'm like, oh, well, you need to play football. You do this. It's like, all right, what do you want to do? What do you have fun doing? Like, my daughter loves being in my car and going fast. She loves dinosaurs. But at the end of the day, I'm going to sit there and roll around on the floor with her. At the end of the day, when she messes up, I'm going to reprimand her. That's it. Doesn't mean I love her any less. It's like, here's your boundary. Here's your structure. You're an amazing child. You're going to grow up to be that. And if you dare fucking question me as a father, fuck you. Because I'm doing the shit that most motherfuckers won't do. And you don't give a fuck where you came from. Step to me. Once again, if I have a plan, I'm going to see it the fuck through. If I get hit in the face, you going to get fucked up. Period. That's all about being a father, being a man. I'm going to protect mine. So if I go any further, I'm just going to get even angrier. But at the end of the day, all of us on this panel know what it's like to father a child, right? Whether it's surrogate, whether it's coming in and taking over. We're all amazing men here. And you have the right to be upset if someone fucking challenges you, because they don't fucking get it, because they never experienced it.
Yeah, I could definitely say, like, for real, like, men have overall been blackballed when it comes, and to Francis's point, as far as when it comes to identifying what the traditional man was, like, what it is today wasn't what it was yesteryear. You know what I mean? So that plays into both stereotypes as well. When it came to making that model, it was like, yo, guess what? Baby got a shitty diaper. I ain't changing that shit. Like, where's your mama? You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's real. Like, men have been blackballed in the parenting discussion. It even comes down to, look how we celebrate Mother's Day over Father's Day. You know what I mean? How many commercials do you see months before May about Mother's Day? How many commercials do you see about Father's Day? You know what I mean? How many brunches are arranged for Mother's Day? How many do you see for Father's Day? So I get it. It's just like, we're not saying, well, okay, yeah, we want to equalize it or whatever, but just people to accept that men are nurturers in their own right. just because the baby didn't come out of us doesn't mean we doesn't love it just as much as the mother does, or even more for that matter. And I agree, Chunks, it definitely is a balancing act. And, you know, absolutely hit it on the head there. Something to think about, y'all. Don't blackball the men. Make them a part of the discussion too. We're not just there to pay the bills or pay for camp or pay for soccer practice. Like, they want to be involved. Make them involved. Last one, and save the best for last. This one I call all bricked up and don't know what to do.
Why we keep going?
Imposter erections. The male equivalents of period spotting. If you know, you know. Fellas, have you ever caught a brick at the wrong time? All bricked up, don't know what to do. And Chunky looking confused, like, what the fuck does he mean by a brick?
Yeah, can you elaborate on that?
A brick.
No, once you... I got it.
The brick.
I know what you mean by brick.
Everybody knows the slang.
A brick.
Okay, fine. Just go ahead. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, cuz.
I'm about to do some heavy editing.
You know what the brick. You know what the brick is.
No, go ahead, cuz.
Oh, my bad.
What's the last time you caught a brick during a meeting, D?
First of all, bro, something wrong with y'all. Cut it out.
That tuck that thing in
with the extra tight pants.
I think only you wear that shit. Only you wear the
you all wear tight pants.
I wear tight pants.
The baby Gap Boys pants. I don't think anyone else here does that.
You want the print to show. Let that print glow.
Bro.
Who goes to work thinking that?
Planning that sucker out, bro.
Like, I'm not these some tight ass pants. I got a meeting today. You know what I mean? Sherry's in that meeting. Yeah. I'm wearing this shit.
And I get the compliments like, damn, Glenn, you look really good in them pants today, boy. I'm like, thank you so much.
Rubber waistbands.
Thank you so much.
Like, don't mind my fifth.
Nobody in here besides you.
Don't mind my third leg over here.
Meetings that way.
Got the jerk sausage hanging out the left leg. Let's go.
And once again, you wonder why you all bricked up.
All bricked up, boy.
What?
Come on now, we've all caught a brick at the wrong time, bro. Sometimes it just happens, especially when you're in the gym, you're working out, you're feeling good, you're confident. You know what I mean?
What are you doing?
Testosterone is flowing.
I don't know.
You know what? That was that Jamaican ass, Yash, just walked past him. He just couldn't help himself.
In my head this entire time. Remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles clip I sent you with the Jamaican Turtles?
The Jamaican Turtles.
Not you, man. Me see them clear.
Project is bad. Stupid,
like you in the gym, like, you see that girl? I see him clear. She went to nunchuck.
Bro, sometimes it could just be happening. You're in a meeting, you catch a brick. You know what I mean?
And
you're at the supermarket, you catch a brick. Sometimes for me, it doesn't even require any, stimulant. It just happens, bro.
I don't know how we go from one end of the spectrum performance issue to catching a brick in a supermarket or a meeting.
Because you know what's so funny about that? The whole thing is, I think overall, it kind of speaks to, the biology of a man and how when we were younger, and puberty was hitting us, there was a lot of things we could not control.
That's different. Like, I agree.
You could not control it, bro. When you're younger, I mean, I can give one story just to kind of share some experience. I think I was in middle school, and I think it's like either middle school or middle school. I'll say that. And then I was actually running for like class president or something like that, student council, bro. I'm on stage trying to give a freaking speech about why why y'all should vote for me, and it's crazy because I'm not thinking about nothing. It's just like literally, bro. I swear it is the challenges of being a dude. And then
brick.
And then I think the worst part, but I'll say one thing though, the worst part about if it ever happens is people see it. They always think it's intentional. Like you did that job, or you had some nasty thoughts or something like, bro. I'm a teenager.
That's why you don't get up so fast, man. You gotta sit down, let it come down. Trying to tuck that thing in, bro. You gotta tuck that thing in.
You're welcome. I don't know you, but you're welcome.
You got your first vote.
Right there. Just walking in and out the room with no shame.
Hey, you know what? There are like actual people famous on IG or TikTok because they just going around showing their dick print. So
That's
I mean, but
wild.
like it's the opposite
They
end of the
getting hella
spectrum,
money.
right? I mean, that's just what they're about.
You
Yeah.
never caught a
Okay.
brick, Chunks? You never just was like at work and just catch a brick?
I'm just gonna keep working.
Job's gotta get done.
Understand? Like I'm at the range. Like, oh yeah, I love to smell the gun smoke. Like I'm still keep shooting. I'm not gonna stop. Like, oh yeah, I gotta call a timeout. Like, nah, this is my element, right? This is the comfort zone. Playing football, like, yeah, that's just the worst
Catching bricks
fucking
on the
case
field,
scenario,
bro.
right?
Gotta
Yeah, that's
throw it on.
that's a little awkward though.
Catch
Catching a break on the field.
What do you
Why?
I'm gonna keep
What? Don't mind me. What?
Ain't nobody trying to
Actually-
tackle me at that point.
That's my stiff arm right there. That's my stiff arm.
Yo, Glenn, I have a question for you. So what do you do when you catch a brick
Catch a brick, man. I'm
in
not
a
gonna lie.
random place like that?
I was working from home, and like that's why I always turn my camera off when I stand up, because whenever I'm like gonna dismiss myself or go to the bathroom, I always turn the camera off. What's the first thing they see when you stand up? Your dick. You know what I mean? So I'm just like,
That's what they're like. That's what, yeah.
yeah. So I don't want to be
like what?
I'm about to turn my camera off. I turn that
Stand
shit
up
off.
and turn. Stand up and
Yeah,
turn.
and fuck yeah.
Your concept of like, I don't get it. What's the
That's
first thing you
funny,
see?
man. I
You're
don't
standing
think that.
up.
Just turn off the camera.
I turn off my camera so they don't see my dick, and that's it.
But I think you dodged the
bricks for anyone.
question.
Like, who
So he's
thinks
asking
that?
what
Who
I
thinks
do.
like that?
He said, "What do you do when you catch a brick?" So I said, "Yeah." One example I had, I was in a meeting, like this situations. Yeah, okay, I'm out, got my good pants on. You know what I mean?
Your boy size pants from the Gap.
Got my boy size on. The
Super
ladies
tight.
love it, and it's just like I come out the bathroom. And once you used to wearing tight pants, you understand you may have to do some, finagling, some makeshifting. You know what I mean? You gotta do some abstract art. So you gotta move them suckers around. You know what I mean? Make sure you wear some good underwear. That's the first thing. Or if you free ball,
I don't wear tight pants.
Then you have
I
to worry
don't
about
wear
catching
pants to
bricks.
the point where you can see the vein in my thighs.
Well, you know what? If you catch a brick, you catch a brick. It don't matter. It does not discriminate on pants.
You brought the
Tightness.
pants thing up.
Shorts,
I didn't.
yoga
Oh,
pants.
y'all brought the pants thing up. I just
Well,
said, y'all said,
tight
y'all,
pants
'cause
just
you
make it
were
easy
the tight
to
pants.
yeah.
But I was just like, yeah, if you wear tight pants or fitting pants, yeah, it makes it easier. You could be non-bricked up and they still see that shit. You know what I mean? So it's just like, yo. But I'm just saying the situations where you got that imposter erection, you don't know where it came from, and you got to deal with it. You know what I mean? We all been there. Let's be real. No shame in it. You know what I mean? That's just.
I mean, I guess I've never had it where I couldn't hide it. If I've never had it in a situation where it's like, oh fuck. I've never had an oh fuck moment.
Yeah, I say that too.
Well, you
At least,
haven't been living life.
I hit it. I was able to hide it behind the podium. So.
Yeah, like I'm always been able to like just kind of like find a way to hide that shit. You just tuck that shit in somewhere.
Yeah, that's just life. It's part of being a man.
Or you're coming
Right?
out.
It's part of being Thor's hammer. Like,
Oh God.
All the
So
steel.
That's funny as hell, man.
all the steel.
we'll have to we'll have a lot of questions for the public on this, but tell us what you think. We did our first try of the JJC reacts on the CP time, with some works that we got to kink through, but it is what it is. Some kinks we got to work through. There we go. But apart from that, what's your take on the 4 things women may not understand about men? Give us your feedback if you listen to the full episode, and feel free to drop us your favorite topic out of the 4 on our Instagram at JerkJaloffCollardPod if you'd like to reach us. Also on YouTube and TikTok. That's right, we're on the Tiki the Talkies. Hit us up, JJC Podcast. And with that said, fellas, any closing comments, words for the people here, the great people here? I know we're coming to our last 2 episodes for the season, so it's only going to get a little bit crazier as it goes on. And that's a shrug, no. Chunky, no.
If all I gotta say, if you ever get bricked up anywhere weird, just if you gotta use the bathroom quick, just go and handle your business. It
Turn
is
off
what
the
it
cameras.
is.
Turn off the
Nobody's
cameras.
judging you.
Exactly.
What?
Exactly.
I would never use the church analogy that was said earlier by Francis. No one ever. I don't think that should ever be stated, ever.
We've
at
done
any point
worse.
in life.
We've
No.
done worse.
Hey,
But
you
apart
know
from
what?
that,
I do shit. I do Francis shit, I guess.
he's a
Anyways.
franchise. That's what he does. We can
Okay.
play a game out of this. You can say take a drink every time Chunky said fuck this episode. How about that? I think you'll be
I'm not
nice
gonna
and
go back.
livid.
That was
Nice and livid.
this midweek recording. Like, yeah, fuck it.
There you go. Boom. Number 100. With that said, have a great one, y'all. Stay safe, stay blessed. And World Most Culture Podcast, giving your daily dose of culture and more. Signing out. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.